just listening to Lenny Kravitz. Love Lenny Kravitz. The only reason I listen to Lenny Kravitz is because on this day, wait, hold on one of these pages, Let Love Rule was released. Vinyl Records, or Virgin Records, 1989. Lenny Kravitz, Let Love Rule. And I'll get to that and talk about Lenny Kravitz. When I met Lenny Kravitz and I hung out with him in his dressing room and ate Chinese food on the floor at a styrofoam, maybe got high with him. How's everybody doing tonight? Yeah, it was a football day. I got color again, even though it was shady. I didn't sunscreen. But good day. Yeah, that was the Ohio State University shellacking of Grambling. 70-0. So if you're a gambler, you took the over, you won. I think it was like 62.5 points. But that's that. How's everybody doing tonight? All right? Good, good. Nobody's here, but that's all right. It's Saturday night. I don't expect that. You're all doing stuff. You have lives. So I'll just talk to myself. I talk to myself all the time, like a crazy person. So I'll just be a crazy person, right? And I'll recap the stuff that I already know because I read it first. Episode 98, zooming in on episode 100, which will be this Monday. Now, don't forget, tomorrow is the full moon. It's the corn moon, because this is when you're supposed to harvest your corn. It's also going to be a total lunar eclipse, so the moon will turn blood red, dark as sack. So just remember that. If you look outside, you're like, oh my God, the moon's blood. It's not the end of the world. It's just a lunar eclipse. I'm sure the Mayans predicted this with their calendars. They were good at that stuff. So blood lunar moon tomorrow night. Full moon for September 2025. 99th episode for me. And then this guy right there. Look, you know that guy right there. It's me. I'm the cameo. It's my guest star appearance as I co-star with Stephen He in the Heinz Verified Day Tripping series that's on YouTube. So go check it out. Make comments. So I promise, tomorrow I'll go through all the comments on every single episode and I'll reply to everything. Promise for tomorrow. Someone asked me yesterday my top 3 movies for a desert island. And I said, okay, well, I have to think about that. And I was like, well, you know, I thought of like movies I like, and I went for a bit of eclectic. So I went for Animal House. And I went for It's a Mad, 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 Mad World. And I went for Planet of the Apes, the original one, the very first one with Charlton Heston. So there you go. There's my 3 movies for a desert island if I had to watch that forever. That's what I'd watch. I'd be okay with that, I guess. But probably not. I'd probably be like, I hate this. Why did I select something better? But that's all right, you know. A little comedy, a little drama, and a little more comedy. Just keep it light. Because, you know, what the hell? If you're on a desert island, it's going to be sad. You're going to be, you know, deserted. What do? The drama. So much drama. So there it is. That's my desert island selection. So this right here, right? This is the Death Star. I got the Lego alert today. So I have a new one coming out. A new Lego Death Star. 938 pieces, super difficult to build. It's enclosed. So it's got like, it's open, but it has like a top around it on the inside, and you kind of look into it. $1,000. I think they said it's the most expensive. I'm like, hell yeah, it is. $1,000? What the crap? I mean, I want it, but still $1,000 for a Lego Death Star. That's ridiculous. Wow. $1,000. You got to Google a picture so you can see it. But yeah, $1,000 for the Lego Death Star. The new one coming out, I think, in November. So, holy crap. That's a lot of money. Super cool, but I don't know if it's worth it. I don't know. I don't know if I can do that. I don't know if I can pull that trigger. Like, I've got 2 of these. I have 2. I have this one, and I have one that's been deconstructed, let's say, not in its full shape and form. That's all I can say. But yes, yeah, Death Star. Anyway, all right, let's go to that replay. What do we want to start with today? Should we start with birthdays and deaths? Let's start with birthdays, all right? 1947, Jane Curtin from Saturday Night Live. Jane, you ignorant slut. That was the catchphrase by Chevy Chase when she did Weekend Update. She's still alive. I just haven't heard much from about Jane Curtin and Gilda Radner. Those are the old Saturday Night Live. Gilda died, unfortunately, but Jane Curtin, Jane, you ignorant slut. Chevy Chase. Thank you, Chevy. 1943, alive and well, 82 years old, Mr. Roger Waters of Pink Floyd. Saw him the last couple times. They've been through. Had really good front row seats, thanks to my friend Tom, who got me seats to an incredible show. Right up front, Roger was right there. At the end of the show, we literally got to reach out and be like, Roger Waters. He was like, hi, like it's Roger Waters. Super cool. So Pink Floyd, The Wall, a couple times. But yeah, Roger Waters. Happy birthday to him. He's an interesting guy. Very political. Pretty much if you don't like this kind of stuff, he's like to you, and just very, very, yeah. Roger Waters definitely makes some people angry. So happy birthday to Roger Waters of Pink Floyd. 1958, also Jeff Foxworthy, the comedian. You're a redneck if you're a redneck if your trailer home is blown away by a tornado. Something like that. I don't know. Forget. I've seen that. I'm not really a big, huge Jeff Foxworthy fan, but he's funny. You have to like the redneck stuff about it, right? What else? Who else? Rhett Miller from Old 97's birthday today, 55 years old. Actor Idris Elba, born on this day. I liked him in Suicide Squad as Bloodsport. He's a good actor. I like the stuff he does. He's very serious, though. He's a very serious actor. I don't see him in comedic roles. Even in Suicide Squad, which is kind of funny. It was funny. It was a comedy, if you think about it. But he plays a serious character always. He's definitely not a comedic actor. He's a serious actor. And yes, John Cena was in that as well. And I will say that as Peacemaker, I loved him as Peacemaker. And I will say that I think that John Cena as Peacemaker and some of the other roles he does is better than The Rock. I'm going to say it. That's where I'm going. If I got to look at wrestlers and say John Cena, The Rock, I'm going with John Cena. And I think he seems to have a very comic delivery. He takes things very comic delivery and very light of things. So that's all. That's all I'm saying. That's where I'm going with it. Okay, 1971, Dolores O'Riordan from the Cranberries, who passed away in January of 18. So she's had over 1 billion views. First Irish performer to have over 1 billion views on YouTube. Very popular. You gotta love Zombie and everything else. So have a very funny story about the Cranberries. Okay, so in April 26th of 1995 to be exact, because I had to look it up. Vets Memorial Coliseum still existed in Columbus, Ohio. It's what the stage of the Big Room Bar is made out of, or the bar is made of the stage from Vets Memorial Coliseum. I'll be selling pieces of. You can have it. But so we did a promotion with the radio station that they filmed some music videos here. They filmed the whole show, but they actually filmed Zombie because they did it twice. They did it in the middle of the show, and then they went back and said, okay, now we're going to film this again. So, stand up, cheer, do all the stuff, and great, because they're going to film it for MTV. This is going to be a music video for the Cranberries. So we did a promotion with the radio station. And what it was is that a winner and guest would get to go to the show, go to sit front row, dead center of the show, get to meet the band, and get an autographed guitar. Okay? So, at the time, I was the promotions guy. And we went, and you have to chaperone these things a lot of times. So we were the chaperones. So me and another guy, we went and chaperoned. So we met the winner, and it was these two girls. And almost immediately. Now the meet and greet was after the show, and that's where you get the guitar after the show. So immediately when we got there, the winner was highly agitated. Let's put it that way. Very excited. Super happy. Like, so excited. She was also hammered. Okay? I mean, her friend was a little embarrassed. Now, she stood up and yelled and screamed during the opening band. I mean, in between the band, before the band, I mean, yelling like so loud. I mean, I'm kind of sitting next to her like, okay, wow, all right, well, good, okay, this is, wow, okay, all right, okay. I mean, her friend was mortified at this point. She's just like, you know, and people are like sitting nearby and they're like, sit down, shut up. Because she's just screaming. She's just so loud and she's so like, ah, like this crazy, wild, just going for it. And this continues through the opening bands, okay? And she went and got more cocktails. And again, she was blotto. So intermission happens, and, you know, she is just going. And, you know, I'm just like, you know, sitting there talking to the guy I work with, and we're just like, I'm like, holy crap. I was like, you know, I don't know if we can take her backstage. You know, she is just way, way over the top here kind of thing. Like, this is, okay, wow. You know, what this is, you know, you should have in these situations where, you know, you're kind of obligated to do this, but, you know, how do you have to protect your interest, you have to protect the artist. You have to kind of, you know, but it's not my place to tell her to sit down and be quiet or anything. You know, she's at a show. She's an adult. She can do what she wants. So she just, again, just going loud, screaming, and people are just like, sit down, shut up, because she's like standing the whole time when no one is standing, and just like loud, and it was a little embarrassing. Curtains come down, cranberries come on, and she passes out. I mean, out cold, like sitting in the seat. Now, everyone's like, hey, let's get up now. Like they're yelling at her. And she is sleeping. You know, check. Okay, she's got a pulse, but she is clearly out. And, you know, her friend, again, is just like, oh my God, what do I do? I'm so mortified. And, you know, we're just like, okay. So the video, you can watch the video, and there's a part of the video where you can see the audience, and there's a hole in the audience because she's missing, because we're all standing like, woo! She's not standing because she's literally asleep, sitting just out cold. Okay. So show ends, and I clearly cannot take this girl backstage. You can't do it. Okay, she's out cold. There's no way I'm going to like take this chance, risk this, do anything. So, you know, we're kind of like, okay, well, we'll see you later. To her friend, like, do you need some help? She's, no, I got her. You know, I got her. And just kind of like, you know, like drags her up and just, you know, kind of drags her out the door. And I'm just like, okay, well, we're just gonna have to, you know, let's go do this. So we go backstage. You get the autographed guitar, and you know, say hello to the band and do all that stuff. So now, okay, she did win the guitar technically. Okay, she owns this guitar, and you know, again, there's very specific rules about how things work. So we're obligated to give her this prize. So, sorry, I can be a dick. So I tell this story to everybody at the station because, we're just like, oh my God, this girl is a nightmare. What a train wreck. You can't believe what happened last night. Blah, 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 blah. Recanting the story over and over again because we're like, what happened? We're like, oh my God, the winner was she was hammered. She basically made a fool of herself. She was so embarrassing. Her friend was mortified. She left halfway through the show. She came back. She was so drunk we couldn't take her backstage, blah, 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 blah. Again, just talking about this whole thing. So I went over to this store and I went and picked something up. And I wrote out the set list, all the songs that were played. So she calls and, want to know if she can get her guitar. I'm like, of course you can. You just have to come down, pick it up, and bring your ID. Because, again, she has to come get it. She's the winner. So I need to see her identification. She has to come down to the radio station. Now, everybody at this point knows this story. Okay, this is not like, a secret. This is like the gossip in the station. It's like, everyone knows the hubbub. Like, okay, so she's coming in. Okay, everybody just, act cool. Nobody look. Just kind of, turn your backs. Don't pay attention. And so she shows up to the station. And of course, everyone's just like, there she is. Psst, psst, psst. And you can see she is just mortified. She's just embarrassed. And so, I'm like, oh, hi, how are you doing? Good. You doing okay today? Great. Okay, well, here's your guitar. I open it up, and inside is a large pink Post-it note. The ones that say, while you were out. And the set list is written on the pink Post-it note, along with the autographed guitar. Get it while you were out. So she picked up the guitar and left. But yes, that was the Cranberry zombie story. And I don't remember who the girl was, and I don't know if we saw her again. She was a big fan, I believe, but oh crap, sorry. My bad. Sorry, I'm just remembering all the details of that story, and it was just one of those that it happens. Okay, look, everybody, has too much fun. You party too much, but it's just you're going to meet this band, and she clearly was a big fan, and just to get so wrecked that you literally sleep through the entire band set and then miss the meet and greet and have to come back sheepishly to pick up your prize the next day or whatever it was, for that. And we all just had the best time with that. Like, okay, let's get a picture with you and the guitar. So I'm like, smile, and it's just like, hold the guitar for us to post online or whatever. And that's not the first time, not the last time crazy crap has happened with listeners and the radio station and artists. When they come up, I'll remember them and share them. But that was ooh, thank God it was closed. Oh, that would have been bad. Oh, the computer. Move that in my way. So that was the Cranberry story about Dolores O'Riordan, who was born on this day in 1971 and unfortunately left us on January of 2018. 1969, born on this day, Macy Gray, Canton, Ohio. Did not know she was from Canton, Ohio. So we got that going on it. William Duvall, 1967, Alice in Chains performer with them. Good old William Duvall from Alice in Chains. Released on this day, Paul Weller's album, Wild Wood, his second studio album. Also on this day, 2005, the Rolling Stones, A Bigger Bang, which is their 24th studio album. 24th! Good Lord. They just keep banging those out. Now, this one was interesting. In 2005, the Jimi Hendrix Experience was released from his 1970 performance live at the Isles of Freeman. Okay? So then I looked that up a little bit more, and there was a little bit more to the story than just that. So Jimi Hendrix, it actually was his final show. his last live appearance. And it was in Germany at the Isles of Freeman. And he died 12 days later on September the 18th of, aspiration. He choked on his own vomit. But they recorded that on that day. So it was a live album, but they didn't release it because it was just, there was little bits and pieces of people that had bootlegged it over the years, but they found later on that someone had a dual microphone, like reel-to-reel recording that one of the producers did, but he had it and forgot about it, or no one knew about it. And then when he died, they found this and were like, oh, wait, what is this? And now we have a new release from Jimi Hendrix in 2005. 2011, the True Blood soundtrack was released. Remember that show, True Blood? If you watched HBO, it was with the vampires who had the fake blood, and they were, vampires. But it was an updated vampire show. I watched that one. I don't watch the other ones, but that one wasn't bad. And singles that were released in 1965, the Rolling Stones released "Get Off My Cloud." Hey, you get off of my cloud. That was part of the December 65 release of December's Children, one and everybody's, the Rolling Stones album back then. Also in 1977, Jackson Browne released "You Love the Thunder," and that was from Running on Empty, which was released in December of 77. The Rolling Stones also let go in 1965, "I'm Free," and again on this day. And that was out of the Heads from September of 65. That was released earlier than the other one. And that was actually two albums that were released back to back within like a few month period. Also a single on this day was Elvis Presley, 1957, released "Don't." And that was from the album 50 Million Elvis Fans Can't Be Wrong, which was, the album was released in November of 1959. Mr. Elvis Presley. Born on this day. Now, are we doing Born? Where are we at here? I don't know if I've done this stuff yet. Did I do Born yet? Where's my Born stuff? Sorry. Let me see. Did I even do Borns today? I thought I did Borns. Oh yeah, I did Borns. Oh yeah. Sorry. I did Borns, I did albums, I did singles, and now there was only a couple deaths. Tom Fogerty, Creedence Clearwater Revival, died on this day. He's the older brother of John Fogerty. We all know John Fogerty. He was, of course, the founding member along with John Fogerty. His brother Tom, who died on this day. Luciano Pavarotti, the famous Italian tenor, passed away on this day. And then Burt Reynolds. Good old Burt Reynolds, the actor Burt Reynolds, who was in everything from Deliverance and The Longest Yard to Cannonball Run. And then in Boogie Nights, he played a porn director in Boogie Nights, remember that. Burt had a very illustrious career. Lots of highs, lots of lows. Hooper. God, I remember so many movies that, Burt starred in back in the 70s and 80s. So good old Burt Reynolds left us on this day. Musical stuff now, more musical stuff. So in 1957, on this day, Elvis Presley recorded his Christmas stuff. White Christmas, Silent Night, Here Comes Santa Claus. And if you remember, if you watched there was an Elvis movie about that, where Tom Hanks was his manager. That was a whole thing where he didn't want to do it and did it and changed up stuff and everything else. 1968, The Doors went on their first European tour. So this is the first of 4 nights, 4 sold-out shows in Europe. They played a venue in London. I think the capacity was only like 2,500, but they sold it out 4 nights in a row, starting tonight. 1990, Sinead O'Connor wins MTV Music Awards Best Artist. I have a great picture of Sinead O'Connor. I only bring that up because I found that just for the fact that it's when I met Sinead, Lenny Kravitz, Peter Gabriel, the whole bitch at the WOMAD Festival. And I've told the story before that I spoke Swahili because I did a blow-off language class in college, so I took Swahili. And the drummers of Burundi, who were from Swazi, they that's what they spoke. And I heard them talking, and I went up and said, "Hodi hodi," and they were like, "Hodi hodi." I was like, John was like, "Sonny Jana." And we spoke Swahili, and everyone was instantly enamored because they only had an interpreter that could speak Swahili. So suddenly here's some, 20-something dude who's just jamming away with the guys from Burundi that all these, musical artists couldn't talk to. And Peter Gabriel, it was just like, how cool is that? That, here's this radio guy talking Swahili to the drummers of Burundi, which, is one of these world guests that he brought with him. But anyway, Sinead O'Connor on that. I bring that up because later on down the line here, I was talking about in 1989, Lenny Kravitz released Let Love Rule on Virgin Records. One of my really good friends still to this day used to work at Virgin Records. And that's how I got to actually go see the Rolling Stones, to meet Lenny Kravitz, and a couple of the great bands because of my friend Kevin. But Lenny Kravitz, so for this song, if you go back and listen to Let Love Rule, it's a really good album. I was listening to it when we started. He wrote, produced, sang, and played almost all the instruments on it. So he did all of it by himself, pretty much, which you've got to think is pretty impressive. It's pretty impressive for an artist to be able to not only write and perform, but to produce and play all the instruments and, just overlay the tracks. Pretty cool. Go Lenny Kravitz. This one I found to be bizarre, and I had to read about it a little bit, and I didn't dive as deep as I could have. But in 2020, the first chord change in 7 years occurred from John Cage's As Slow as Possible, which has been playing for 639 years in Germany. Google it. It's kind of freaky. I was like, okay, interesting. And then we talked about the final show of Jimi Hendrix in 1970. That was the release of, excuse me, that was rude. Didn't put my phone on silent, apparently. The last performance by Hendrix was on this day. It was also when the recording of this Isle of Firmin occurred in Germany and was released in 2005. 1968, the Beatles, Abbey Road, the studios in Abbey Road, George Harrison records While My Guitar Gently Weeps. Now, uncredited on the album and other places is that the actual guitar was performed by Eric Clapton. So while Harrison sings, Eric Clapton performs all the guitar on While My Guitar Gently Weeps. Uncredited. And it's for the first time that any other artist, a solo artist, besides the Beatles, perform on a Beatles, and a famous artist as well. So Eric Clapton is actually the guitarist for While My Guitar Gently Weeps by the Beatles, with George Harrison singing. Didn't know that. I think Clapton's playing Columbus, or just did. He's about to, or just did something, I think. Or I think he's going to here shortly at Mershon Auditorium. I believe. I'm almost sure of that one. 1969, Jethro Tull. Jethro Tull, the flute band. Jethro Tull gets their first #1 album in the UK with Stand Up. I was going to say something about Jethro Tull, but I just spaced on what it was. Aqualung. Something about Aqualung, but I don't know. Sorry. Jefferson Starship also gets their first #1 in the U.S. on their second album, Red Octopus. Good old Grace Slick from Jefferson Starship. 1975, Rod Stewart album Sailing tops the singles in the UK, Belgium, Ireland, Netherlands, and Norway. I don't know if I ever saw. I saw Rod Stewart a long time ago. I'm trying to think. I don't think I've seen him in this decade. It's been a minute. It's been a minute. It was definitely in the 19 somethings. 1975. Glenn Campbell. Glenn Campbell. Do you remember Glenn Campbell? Do you know Glenn Campbell? He sang a song called Rhinestone Cowboy. Like a rhinestone cowboy. Oh, took top awards for that one. 1980, Diana Ross receives her 4th solo #1. Upside Down for 4 weeks. She also goes to #1 in 9 other countries with that for Miss Diana Ross. In 1980, The Jam, their second concurrent #1 for Start. In 1986, Bananarama records a cover of the song Venus, and it tops the U.S. charts. Now, I was like, wait a second, there was a commercial with, yes, there was. In 2000, Venus, a women's razor, was released by Gillette. And the soundtrack was, in fact, Bananarama singing Venus. As there was a talk, they talked over, talking about, smooth shave, multiple blades, removable, blah, blah, blah. I was like, there you go. It's like, I thought my brain fired a little synapse and said, wait a second, I'd heard that somewhere. That was a commercial for something. Yeah, it was a lady's razor. And then again, like I said, in 1989, Lenny Kravitz, his debut album, Let Love Rule, Virgin Records, wrote, produced, directed, performed, sang, everything. I believe that went that gold. I think I have that gold record, actually. Yes, I do. 1977 or 1997, 77, 97. Does it really matter? All those years just get mixed up. They aren't today. 1997, Fleetwood Mac, The Dance, it goes to #1 with multiple tracks on it. The Chain, Dreams, Rhiannon, and others. And it was a live album, I believe. So, good old Fleetwood Mac for that one. 2003, Bruce Springsteen, who was 73 at the time, postpones 8 shows because of a peptic ulcer. Bruce did recover, and again, he's been performing ever since. 2003, The Darkness started today a 4-week run as #1 in the UK for their debut album, Permission to Land. Also a really good band, Darkness. 2008, The Verve, their album Fourth, which in fact was their 4th and final album, is released on this day, and it topped the UK charts. Like The Verve, they were a good band. In 2014, Taylor Swift, blah, 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 don't care, don't know, didn't research, didn't read, just saw Taylor Swift, and I was like, and then on this date in 2014, Royal Blood, #1 album in the UK, self-titled duo. Now, if you have not heard Royal Blood, I was just like, yeah, I was like, Royal Blood is one of these bands that you don't think about them much. They played some festivals, like they played like Sonic Temple Festival. It's a heavier metal. You don't think about how heavy they are. They're a 2-piece band. They're just a duo, similar to the Black Keys, but they just destroy it. They are so rocking, so loud. I mean, bam! You just go listen to Royal Blood, and you'd be like, whoa! I mean, they're a just absolute smoke show of band. There was a song it's a less hardcore than normal. Pull Me Through is a pretty cool song. I was just listening to that earlier as well. But yeah, just go listen to the Royal Blood and just pick up anything along the way, and just kind of click through it if you go to the YouTubes, and it just they have a very similar sound in most of their songs, but it is heavy as hell for 2 guys. It's one of those bands you're like, wow, how much noise can come out of two guys, which is great. I love that. So yes, Royal Blood. They definitely get my, besides Lenny Kravitz, Royal Blood gets my stamp of approval for tonight. Royal Blood. So go check that out. Now, I saw that I got a couple of texts and calls today because the article, I guess there was an article, NBC4, they did it on TV like 4 days ago. Didn't look, haven't been really paying attention to social media. But there was posts on Facebook and stuff about the radio station, about the building being just demolished and an apartment being built there. And, you know, and what's so sad, it's this and this and this and this. Look, you know, I get it. You know, the fact of the matter is that if I had my way, I would still be in that building, and I would still be doing the radio station, and the people that worked there would still be working there, and I would still be doing my best to fight the good fight and make it happen. Okay, that's there is no other truth than that. Okay, and if dreams were dollars, I'd be rich. Okay, but they're not, and unfortunately, the station just, you know, by no direct fault of myself and others, you know, I was kind of pushed out the door. Okay, and that's it. That's where it's at, and that was 18 months ago, and that property is sat vacant. I could not rent it. No one wanted to use it. I had a couple people look at it. A couple developers look at it, but because, you know, no one wanted it. It was an older building. It was very weird in it was set in design. It was perfect for the radio station and the music venue because of the way I envisioned it. But besides that, it wasn't very useful for anything else. And, you know, honestly, the building was in bad shape. It was built in '65, and it was not, it's a cinder block building. That's it. Nothing was, you know, super historic about it. It was just cinder blocks with stucco on the outside. You know, truth be told, I just, you know, I don't have a job. I don't have a job, you know, and not having the radio station, this is not something like, you know, I saw people today because I went to a football game. Oh, how's retirement? It's like, I'm not. I'm in between jobs. Okay? I didn't retire. You know, I didn't leave by my own volition. I didn't leave because it was like, oh, I want to go. No, I didn't. Okay? Like I said, if I had it my way, I would still be doing what I loved to do to this very day, to this very moment. You know, but that was not in the cards. So the unfortunate reality is that, you know, I have to sell the property. And you know, the harsh reality is that, you know, I have a shirt that says it. No one is coming to save you. Okay? They aren't. Just plain and simple. No one is coming to save you. So if you don't do it yourself, you know, good luck. So, you know, what I did what I had to do, and that is sell the property. Okay? And, you know, a developer is the one who decides that's who wants to buy it. What happens after that is what happens after that. So, yes, am I sad about it? Absolutely. Okay? I have no qualms with saying that. Okay? I am saddened by the whole turn of events. As much as anyone that is a fan is, I am equally or more so sad about it because it was something that I was part of from the time I finished school at Ohio State until today, because I still deal with it every day. I go down to the building, I have to cut the grass, I had to deal with someone who tried to break into it. I showed a picture of the door being damaged. You know, so this is this ongoing train wreck that I get to live every single day. You know, I don't get to just forget about it and move on. It's there. It's part of me. It will always be. So, yes, I understand that it makes you sad, and I empathize with you absolutely full and wholeheartedly. If you want to sit down and drink a cup of coffee and reminisce about it, all about it. But it is what it is. You know, I'm sorry that progress moves forward, and I'm sorry that I don't get to do what I love to do, and I'm sorry that you don't get to enjoy the radio station anymore. I truly am. If I had the ability to change it, I would. In no way, shape, or form. I would not do that. But at this moment in time, I have no ability to do such things. And time is not our friend. Time is that apex predator. Time is that hunter-killer that destroys everything, from the stars in the sky to the crickets in my basement that are annoying me at the moment. So that's what's going on. I will not comment on Facebook about it. And if you do see this about it, that is what it is. Okay? I wish it were different. I truly, truly do. I'm sorry that we're not there anymore. I'm sorry that everyone lost their jobs. I'm sorry that we can't be there to entertain. And I'm sorry that we can't be there to help the music scene. Everything and all of it. There's not much more I can say. We move forward, or we don't. Thank you. Fade to black.